România și Polonia sunt cele mai mari țări europene din Europa Centrală și de Est. Este normal ca relațiile dintre ele să fie privilegiate, au fost privilegiate și sperăm că vor fi în continuare privilegiate. De aceea l-am invitat la microfonul București FM pe Excelența Sa, domnul Marcin Wilczek, ambasadorul Poloniei la Bucuresti. Your Excellency, first of all, thank you for accepting this interview for
Thank you very much
Bucharest
for
FM.
thinking about me, and thank you very much for your visit.
First of all, how would you characterize the Polish-Romanian bilateral relations today in 2017?
Well, I think that we are closer than ever as countries and as societies. I think that being together in the European Union, being together in NATO, being where we are geographically or geopolitically, which means on the eastern, southeastern and northeastern vicinity of the European Union and NATO, makes us perfect partners and perfect friends. We see many things in a similar way. We face very similar challenges. We face similar problems. As you mentioned, we are big countries, bigger countries of this part of Europe. So we are, in a way, cooperating out of not only of sympathy and of traditional friendship, but also of interest that we are sharing.
Talking relation, we mean usually talking economy. What's the amount of the bilateral trade?
As you know, Poland and Romania are developing very fast. We are really impressed by the growth of Romania in recent times. And Poland is following accordingly. And I think that currently our bilateral trade amounts to about 5 billion euros annually, which is considerable. And also we see more and more investments coming both to Poland and to Romania.
When talking about bilateral relations, diplomats used to say they are good, but still far from their potential. What's the potential?
You're absolutely right. Every diplomat is talking about economic potential. Economic cooperation always says that the potential is much bigger, so we have to do something. I mean, it's hard for a diplomat to contribute considerably to development of economic relations, because these are decided by companies, decided by people who seek interest and who look for cooperation and look for partners. But I'm sure that there is a big interest in Romania, in Poland. There is a big exchange of goods, a lot of investments coming. So far we have around 500 million euros of Polish investments in Romania. There are some enterprises that have been present not only on the Romanian market as goods, but also the factories built by Polish investors in Arad, in Valeni de Munte, in many places in Romania, and they contribute to Romanian economy.
But are there also Romanian investors in Poland?
That is something that starts to appear. I mean, I think last year there was a investment of EMAG, who bought a Polish internet shop of electronic goods. So this is something that shows also the maturity of and development of Romanian markets and the Romanian economy and Romanian business people.
Before 1990, Poland and Romania used to have a close economic partnership inside the framework of the Comecon. This was the case for all the former communist countries. Some experts say that the brutal dissolution of the Comecon was a mistake. What's your opinion?
Well, I think that the dissolution of the Soviet bloc was a historical fact,
Yes.
and the rest followed. It was somehow artificial, but all the countries reoriented their economies towards free market economies, democratic states, and membership in the European Union. I think that was a natural replacement, and I would say that our economies in before 1990 was highly inefficient. We're not able to produce and to how shall I put it, to answer to the needs of their citizens. If you remember, Poland had the food rationed in 1980s. Romania had its problems as well. So this economic model was a bad one, and I think that nobody is thinking about in a way with sympathy to that. I think we are partners in a free market economy, in a globalized world, in the European Union, and that's the natural place of our economies.
So coming to the politics again, as I said, Poland and Romania are the largest countries in Central and Eastern Europe. How well do Poland and Romania cooperate inside the European Union?
I think that as I mentioned in the introduction, I think that the fact that we are big countries of Central Europe, sharing the same perspective within the European Union, having the areas of interest and also problems very similar, we are cooperating very closely within the European Union. We are countries that were not very happy with Brexit. We are countries that have a big amount of their population outside Poland and Romania, and many of them of which are in the UK. So we are really interested to have a solution about that. We also have a similar view on European funds, on the future of European funds. We have a similar view on European Eastern Partnership, of the relations with our Eastern neighbors. I think there are many similarities, and that is why this cooperation is really strong, is really close, and this is based on fundamental values and on fundamental interests.
There are many important topics on the European agenda on which both countries agree, as you said. Also the immigration, the free movement of labor force, as you said, or the relation between EU and NATO. Are there regular bilateral consultations on these topics?
Yes. First of all, somehow you can say that it's a bit frustrating for a diplomat based in Bucharest or in Warsaw, because you know that our ministers and our politicians meet in Brussels regularly, and sometimes you are not even aware of these meetings, because on a daily basis they cooperate, they get in touch, they call each other. I mean, so I think sometimes people have an updated view of what diplomacy is. I think there are many working meetings that are taking place in Brussels on the margins of Foreign Affairs Council, General Affairs Council, and this is telephone contacts and so on. But of course, the big visits and consultations on a working level in the capitals are also taking place very often. As you know, President Johannes was already two times in Poland. President Duda was in Bucharest. Prime Minister Szydło was in Suceava and in Bukovina, meeting Prime Minister Cioloș. We plan a meeting of governments next year. There are regular consultations of the different parts of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So the strategic partnership signed in 2009 between Presidents Kaczynski and Basescu is very vivid and really very important framework of these relations, but of course driven by our common interests.
You always said about the Polish workers in the Great Britain, it's a big concern for you, also for Romania, the situation of the Romanians living in Great Britain. Do you think the guarantees offered by the Great Britain until now are enough to, let's say, calm the play?
First of all, I think that the negotiations, the Brexit negotiations, are still going on, and I think that first of all, these people are there because the British economy needs them. So it will not be easy to get rid of, first of all, 1 million Poles and 400,000 of Romanians without replacing them. I mean, if you look around in Europe, there is a big shortage of qualified people to work. I mean, this is not something that we should beg for. I think that this is our richness. The people who left are badly needed also in Romania and in Poland. I know very well that here in Romania you have problems in filling the posts that are vacant. When I speak to Polish business people here in Romania, the main problem they have is the lack of qualifying workers. In Poland, we have around 1 million people from Ukraine working in Poland, and still Polish businessmen also say that their biggest problem is to find the qualified workers and qualified staff, which means that it becomes a real barrier to growth. So I don't think that we should worry too much about the rights of our citizens. I think that they are badly needed also in Britain, and we should think about our economies to make them more attractive to them so they can come back.
During the French President Emmanuel Macron's visit in Bucharest, Romania officially expressed its strong commitment in favor of the European Common Defence Policy. What's the position of Poland on this?
Well, my answer can be only very simple. I mean, just 2 days ago, Minister Waszczykowski, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, notified our access to PESCO, and I think that it's more than natural that we cooperate also within the EU in the face of the more and more imprevisible threats that we are facing. And of course, we always underline that NATO is the basic and the most important element for our defense. But of course, if we can also contribute here in EU, this will be only to the benefit of all the unions members.
Romania also repeatedly expressed its commitment in favor of a deeper integration inside the EU, both political and financial. Apparently, Polonia is far less enthusiastic about this.
Well, we have our reservation. I mean, first of all, we would like to see, I mean, what do we mean about this? I mean, I think the European Union is having its own problems, one of which was Brexit, and we shall see how we can all contribute to revival of the European project, because there are many skeptical voices, not only from Poland, and we should together think about what do we mean by the fact that closer and deeper, because these are words that are used in the public space, but when it comes to concrete solutions or concrete problems, I think there is still room for talks and negotiations and discussions.
So, in your opinion, a more integration is not absolutely necessary for the European Union. It's debatable.
I mean, the European Union is an integrated body, so there are pillars of European integration, but we think that the national state is the basic element of the European Union.
Speaking more about Europe, Romania makes all the efforts to join the Eurozone. Poland is, and other Central European countries, is more cautious about the benefits, the so-called benefits of the single currency. Why is that?
Well, I think that we, after our accession in 2004, we were very optimistic, and I would say that we took for granted that there can only be a bright future within the European Union, we also looked at Eurozone the same way. I mean, we had discussions about joining the Eurozone. Slovakia joined, and then Lithuania joined. So, and of course, this is in the treaty. So one day we are bound to join. But the crisis in 2008 and the construction of Eurozone proved not to be really perfect and not to be beneficial to all of its members. I mean, we are facing a crisis for many years now in the Eurozone. The construction is being debated. There is no question that something should be done about the Eurozone construction. So we have to, in a way, to wait and see, not being inside. Of course, we are very interested to have a strong, solid Eurozone, and then we will see how this works, and then we'll make our decision. But definitely, at this moment of our economic development, I think locking ourselves in the Eurozone without having the possibility of managing its own currency would not be the element that would be suitable for Poland today. But I follow the debate in Poland, and of course, at some point in the future, when our economy will be matured, we will definitely want to join Euro because it brings stability, but an effective Euro.
So for the moment, the Eurozone puts some limits to the freedom of movement of the countries, member countries.
No, I think it puts being into the Eurozone, you are not able to manage your own currency. Yeah. You are in a way
unable to adapt.
Unable to adapt to external shocks. So you are for economies.
Someone else takes the decisions.
But for economies that are growing fast and are quite still, let's say, not the mature, developed economies like ours, I think that Eurozone is.
It's a break, a kind of break, or could be a kind of break.
And takes off a bit of elasticity though, from the economic decision makers.
More and more political experts predict a strong decline of the structural funds after 2020. You know about this. In which way could or must Poland and Romania cooperate in order to prevent such things to happen?
I think that we made ourselves clear as Romania made itself clear that the cohesion funds and the structural funds are first of all instruments that benefit not only the recipients but also the whole of the Union. They are used for programs that benefit the synergies of the European economy, that benefit the development of exchange within the Union, and are an extremely important element of cohesion of the Union. And the structural funds did not appear when we joined. There were a mechanism that was installed before we joined. So this is not something that is our idea, and it's for us. It was a program for the Union, not for Romania or Poland. Of course, we are benefiting from these programs, but the Union is benefiting from these programs, and I think that they should stay as they are.
So inside the European Union, Romania and Poland joined their efforts in order to change
Our positions are quite similar, yes.
About the structural funds, Romania envy Poland for the very efficient way you managed to absorb the European structural funds. How did you do that? It's a question we are asking ourselves in Romania from many times.
Oh, it's a question I hear everywhere I speak with Romanian officials and also people in local administration and everywhere. I think, first of all, the key issue, in my opinion, was administrative reform in Poland that we had in 1999, which is before joining the EU. We had, at that time, 49 judets,
Yes.
and we went from 49 to 16. So we have now a more regionalized structure, which permits the regional administration, elected regional administration, to deal with the European funds in the capitals of these big judets. So it's much easier for them to go and to produce big projects, infrastructural projects, and to manage them on the local level, rather than small projects in small entities. 40% of the structural funds that are spent in Poland are spent directly in the regions, without coming to the capital, without coming to Warsaw. So Warsaw and the Ministry of Regional Development is dealing with big infrastructural plans of motorways, of railways, of ports, and developing really big projects of state importance. But the projects are managed in the regions. So that's why we need 16 teams plus the ministry in the regions instead of 49 that we would have had before the administrative reform. So that's I think that was the key to the success of the absorption. And of course, the institutions that we were able to install and to design to implement the absorption.
So at the regional level, there is a full network of experts in integrating the European funds, not only at the central level, but also at the regional level. There are experts.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we have 16 judets.
Yes.
And at the level of Polish judets, you have a team that is dealing with European funds, yes, and highly skilled, highly well paid, and
having all the authority necessary to.
Yeah.
Romania intends to create a sovereign investment fund. Poland already has such a fund. Is it really profitable? Because it's a debate in Romania. Some experts say it will not be profitable. Some experts say, no, it's a good example, it's a good idea.
Well, I think that a sovereign fund, how we see it, is an instrument of where the state complements the decisions of private sector and also helps to show or to assist some strategic decisions for the future of the state in 10, 15, 20 years. So that is why I think the sovereign fund is important. We started a few years ago this sovereign fund. First decision have been made recently. For instance, the sovereign fund bought from the Italian bank Unicredito shares of a Polish bank operating in Poland, so that we now have this bank being Polish capital owned. Also, the sovereign fund bought 24% of shares of the biggest Polish armaments producer, WB Electronics, who are working on new technologies, both civilian and military, and they are just they raise money through this fund, not through credits or through commercial bank instruments. So the fund is working on projects of strategic importance for the state, and with a vision for the future. I mean, so when you have startups, when you have some innovation mechanisms that are not that don't easily generate capital for their development, and the sovereign fund that is staffed by people who used to work in big banks, big investments companies. So these are people who are highly specialized, highly educated, and highly trained in the financial sectors. And as I spoke with the head of the fund that came to Bucharest, he hires more and more Poles who went to work in the city of London, for instance. So there is an interest of this knowledge to be shared also with the Poles from the Poles from abroad. So this is an instrument that is in my opinion very useful and very needed, because we lacked the strategic support from the state to some projects, for instance, export projects to markets where we think that we should be present, and the commercial institutions are not very keen to join you.
To make some investments, some strategic investments that are necessary for the state, but the private sector is not willing to do so.
Because they don't see their interest in let's say 4 or 5 years, and we need this for the future in 10, 15 years. I mean, we are now working on a project of a big new airport in Poland, a central airport that will be around 30 kilometers west of Warsaw. There has been a first decision by the government, because the biggest airport in Warsaw is placed, I mean, very close to the center of the city, so it will be soon impossible to develop it, and we have to think about the fact that in 5, maybe 10 years we'll be forced to move the whole airport or to close it down. So we have to now think about what we will do in 10 years, and that's where there is a role for the sovereign fund.
And last but not least, the question that all the Europeans are asking now: will the European Union strong enough to survive the Brexit?
I think the EU will survive the Brexit. I think there is a lot of vital forces within the European countries, within the European Union member states. European Union is still very attractive to others. I mean, we must remember, although it's not a very popular subject now, that there are countries waiting, especially in the Western Balkans, to join the EU, and for them, European Union is an extremely attractive construction. I think that we tend to be either over pessimistic or over optimistic, and that's one of the duties and skills of a diplomat, to be reasonable and to find the middle way. I think that the EU is needed. There is a big sense of its existence. It's a success story, and I think it will survive Brexit, and I think that we are in the phase to reshape it and to give it a new impetus.
Your Excellency, thank you for this interview.
Be smart. Be cool. Be fresh. BFM. Bucurește.